From time to time, I like to hold contests over on the community Discord, get those creative juices flowing and give server members a chance to engage with the channel directly. And also so I can farm content off their labor, but don't tell them that. Recently, we started doing custom card contests instead of creative writing prompts, however, and that proved much more popular. So we're at it again with a new prompt where I challenged users to design a set of cards, at least 2, but no more than 5, that work well together intentionally, with at least one of them naming the others in some way. A bit of background: before I played Magic, I had been an avid Yu-Gi-Oh fan for 12 years or so, and while I don't really think every aspect of the game is good, one thing I did grow to really love is the concept of archetypes, a set of cards that support one another either directly or indirectly, usually sharing some sort of naming convention. The idea of using multiple cards together in order to generate some sort of advantage always resonated well with me, and when I swapped over to Magic, I gotta say I was a bit disappointed at first to learn that the archetype system didn't really exist in the game. Yeah, sure, certain cards have a lot of synergy with one another, but frankly, the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Did archetypes wasn't really compatible with the mechanical design or tribal system Magic was running. But, as I learned, there were cards that cared about other specific cards, and over the years, these have become some of my most fond entries in the game. This challenge, therefore, was meant to bring to mind cards like the Cauldron artifacts or the Empire's artifacts, cards that needed other specific cards to get their full value. Users had a week to design and submit their cards, and oh boy, I got a lot of entries to look over. All of these designs can be viewed over on our community Discord server, and of course, if you want to join in on future contests, that is where they'll be announced. So, swing on by and join in the fun, and with all of that said and done, the winner of this contest is the submission by Sir Crypt, a sequence of 4 cards that work together and retell the story of A Christmas Carol. The Ebenezer Scrooge is a legendary creature, human, that costs 1 each of white, black, and green mana, has 1 power and 5 toughness, as well as 3 different abilities. When Scrooge enters the battlefield, you search your library or graveyard for the Ghost of Christmas Past, then add it to your hand and shuffle. His second ability means Scrooge himself cannot be removed from the battlefield by abilities from your own permanents, and his third ability, which triggers only once each turn, lets you draw a card when you cast a spell for 3 or less mana. Old Ebenezer begins A Christmas Carol as a notorious miser, unwilling to spend even a penny more than he absolutely needs to, and he delights in his hoarding of wealth, not even giving to charity. So it makes sense that his ability centers around spending as little as possible to get the benefit. But it's not much of a story with only one character. The Ghost of Christmas Past is a legendary spirit with 1 power and toughness that costs 1 generic mana and 1 white mana. It's got Fading 4, which means it only sticks around for a maximum of 4 turns after you cast it. When the Ghost of Christmas Past enters the battlefield, 1 target card that entered a graveyard or exile that turn is returned to its owner's hand, and when it leaves the battlefield, all cards in each player's hand is exiled. Then, you search your library for the Ghost of Christmas Present and put that into your hand. The Ghost of Christmas Past shows Scrooge his own past, the Christmas of his youth and the boy he used to be. So it makes sense that this creature would literally dig up the past by returning a card from the graveyard or exile to its owner's hand. As for its second effect, in a way, the ghost clears the way for the next spirit by wiping both players' hands clean, setting the stage for the Ghost of Christmas Present. Our second spirit, the Ghost of Christmas Present, is a legendary spirit with 3 power and toughness that costs 3 generic mana and 1 green mana. It's got Fading 4, just like the first ghost, and when it enters the battlefield, you put a creature card of mana value 4 or less from your hand onto the battlefield. When the ghost leaves the battlefield, all creatures of mana value 4 or less are exiled as well, and then you search for the Ghost of Christmas Future and add it to your hand. After being shown the past, Scrooge is taken for a little trip of the present with the ghost, being shown the markets as well as the family of one of his employees, Bob Cratchit, and the man's seriously ill son, Tiny Tim. This little journey is ended with an ominous warning from the ghost before the third and final spirit pays Scrooge a visit. The Ghost of Christmas Future is a legendary spirit with 5 power and toughness that costs 5 generic mana and a black mana. Just like the other ghosts, it has Fading 4, but its other 2 abilities are a bit unique. When this ghost enters the battlefield, you get a free extra turn. However, when the Ghost of Christmas Future leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. The Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come was a silent spirit that showed Ebenezer Scrooge a not-so-distant future, the funeral of a man that nobody mourned, and the death of Tiny Tim. The spirit's final vision to Scrooge is a lone grave, his own grave, which nobody cared for or mourned. Distraught over these visions, Scrooge breaks down in tears, vowing to change his ways, and awakens on Christmas morning a happier and more generous man, with his first act being to show generosity to Charity and then compassion to Cratchit and Tiny Tim, thus ending the story. This final spirit's abilities are very straightforward. You losing the game when it leaves the field is the dark future it shared with Scrooge in the carol, with the extra turn it provides representing the new opportunity to change Scrooge is provided. If you use that turn wisely, it's possible to change the future, so to say, and win the day. While it's not a perfect adaptation of A Christmas Carol, I believe these cards come together well to tell a good facsimile of the story, much better than a saga could, for instance. I've got criticisms, of course. The Vanishing 4 ability shared by the ghosts doesn't feel right to me, but I suppose it makes sense in telling a limited story. Ebenezer Scrooge himself doesn't get any kind of ability change on his text, which I found odd since the entire carol itself ends with him changing his ways. And finally, I need to stress that Scrooge is actually visited by 4 ghosts during the carol. The first is that of his old business partner, Jacob Marley, who warns Scrooge of the next 3 spirits. This one, at least I understand, as the 3 Ghosts of Christmas are more well known, and this set was already stretching the limits of the challenge. Still, these criticisms don't detract from how much I enjoy these cards, and I am proud to select Sir Crypt as our Craftmaster of the Month. This set was great. And with that said, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, of course, there's all the fun stuff you can do like liking and subscribing. If you want to check out the other submissions for the contest or participate in future contests, then of course head over to the community Discord, which is linked below. Thanks again so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.